Hello, everyone. This is your host, Rebecca Beavers, and welcome back to the Bridging the Gap podcast. For the past 4 episodes, we've heard the voices of students and administrators navigating the challenging landscape of diversity, equity, and inclusion in higher education. But there's another group whose stories shape campus life, even if they rarely appear in conversations about DEI, international students. They're not always framed as part of DEI efforts, yet their access, belonging, and safety are deeply affected by the same political forces reshaping equity work across the country. And the last year has brought a wave of new uncertainties for legal, economic, and cultural. Today, we pause the interviews and turn to the reporting, because sometimes, in their own words means the words recorded by journalists, court filings, policy statements, and the people speaking through them. Let's begin with the most recent development. In late May 2025, the U.S. State Department announced it would begin revoking the visas of certain Chinese students, particularly those studying in what it called critical fields. The announcement came on social media, sparse on details and heavy on consequences. According to reporting by the Associated Press, more than 270,000 Chinese students were enrolled in U.S. institutions in 2023 and 2024, making China the second largest source of international students in the country. This made the impact immediate and far-reaching. The article describes a fast-moving crackdown, suspended visa appointments, expanded grounds for terminating student status, and even attempts to block international students from enrolling at Harvard. One student interviewed, a Ukrainian-born student in Wisconsin, said he no longer trusted the system enough to leave the country to renew his visa. The risk of being denied re-entry now felt too high. This was more than policy. It was fear shaping academic futures. Another Associated Press article, co-written by Jocelyn Gecker, captured a broader narrative: the dramatic shift between political promises and lived experience. 6 months earlier, Donald Trump had campaigned on making it easier for international graduates to remain in the U.S. by granting green cards to those earning degrees from American universities. But instead of easier pathways, students found themselves facing a wave of restrictive measures: halted visa interviews, blocked enrollment, and new proclamations barring nearly all foreign students from entering the country to attend specific universities. Targeted on all fronts is how the reporting described it. And that phrase stayed with me, because it reflects a tension that mirrors what many DEI scholars have identified in their own research. When educational access becomes politicized, the students caught in the middle are left with instability instead of clarity, and fear instead of opportunity. That instability appears again in a third Associated Press report, this time focused on career pathways. One student, Bob Zhang, who came to the United States as a teenager and earned a master's degree from MIT, described preparing for graduation while simultaneously preparing to leave the country. "I am worried about working here," he said. "You never know what's going to happen." The article outlines how increased visa scrutiny, expanded grounds for terminating student status, and potential elimination of employment pathways have pushed many students to reconsider their futures entirely. Shifting plans toward Europe, returning home earlier than expected, or abandoning U.S. job prospects altogether. These are not isolated cases. They reflect a national climate. Back in episode 1, we talked about DEI's origins, a response to inequity, limited opportunity, and the unspoken barriers that kept certain students on the outside looking in. The stories emerging now from international students echo that history, but with a new twist. The barriers are no longer just financial, cultural, or academic. They're geopolitical, and they are rapidly accelerating. From Executive Order 14173, signed in January 2025, which directed federal agencies to curb DEI practices under the banner of restoring merit-based opportunities, to renewed attention on vetting student visas, to rising political scrutiny of collaborations with foreign universities. The pattern is unmistakable. The climate of restriction shaping DEI is also shaping the lives of international students. What's striking about these articles is the human voice threaded through each one. A student afraid to travel home, a college graduate unsure whether he can stay in the country he studied in for years, a campus suddenly unsure whether its international population will be allowed to return. These aren't abstract policy debates, they're lived experiences, and they connect directly to the bigger question this series is exploring. Who gets to access the full promise of higher education? And what happens when that promise shifts or shrinks? As campuses navigate DEI rollbacks, budget cuts, and legal pressure, the experiences of international students highlight a broader truth. When equity structures weaken, multiple communities feel the impact, and even those not formally included in the DEI category. In other words, DEI doesn't disappear when the debate changes. It simply becomes more visible, sometimes in places we least expect. This episode is a pause, a moment to take stock of the national atmosphere, the human cost of political shifts, and the stories captured by journalists across the country. In our next episode, we return to the interviews, bringing in expert commentary to help us make sense of the crossroads we're standing at, between belonging and restriction, opportunity and uncertainty, rhetoric and reality. Because education is not just a domestic issue, it's global, and the stakes have never been higher. This is Rebecca Beavers, and together we are bridging the gap.